What really aggravates me, there are these tech channels that always use clickbait titles, often mentioning NASA and SpaceX, or Elon Musk, and most of all the James Webb Space Telescope, to attract viewers. And apparently, the James Webb Telescope did all kinds of terrifying discoveries that shocked the world. Really? Except for a few thousand viewers, why hasn't anyone heard of this? So far I have found 2 of these channels and they are called Tech Space and Future Unity. And look how similar they are, even have the same videos. When you are a little bit tech savvy and watch the video, you will find it is all pieces of other videos cobbled together with a nice voiceover in it. It has no substantial value, and the tech they show in combination with science fiction space scenes are usually rubbish. Look at this totally idiotic title. It happened. SpaceX is finally launching Falcon Heavy to orbit in June 2022. This shows how dumb they really are. Falcon Heavy was launched for the first time on February 6, 2018. It flew 2 more times, first in April, and then June 2019. Perhaps they are confused with a SpaceX Starship? On a tech channel this should not happen. Look, here we have another one. Betelgeuse is finally exploding in August 2022.
Join us as we explore how Betelgeuse is finally exploding in August 2022.
To avoid a possible copyright issue, I keep these snippets very short, but we all know what didn't happen in August, right? And what the bleep has Batman to do with Betelgeuse? Never mind. Now let's look at another channel with tech in its name. It is called Tech Equity. It has 1,300 something subscribers, and published a video called NASA's New Lightspeed Engine to Mars in 13 minutes. There is so much wrong in this, I don't even know where to start. First of all, NASA does not have a new lightspeed engine. What they do have is ion propulsion. Ion thrusters are being designed for a wide variety of missions, from keeping communications satellites in the proper position to propelling spacecraft throughout our solar system. They require significantly less propellant for a given mission than would be needed with chemical propulsion. Ion propulsion is even considered to be mission-enabling for some cases where sufficient chemical propellant cannot be carried on the spacecraft to accomplish the desired mission. The NASA Solar Technology Application Readiness (NSTAR) ion propulsion system enabled the Deep Space One mission, the first spacecraft propelled primarily by ion propulsion, to travel over 163 million miles and make flybys of the asteroid Braille and the comet Borley. Even though it can give a probe a constant acceleration, its thrust is very small.
With ion engines, instead of heating the gas up or putting it under pressure, we give the gas xenon a little electric charge. And then they're called ions, and we use a big voltage to accelerate the xenon ions through this metal grid, and we shoot them out of the engine at up to 90,000 miles per hour. And they're going out so fast that each individual ion gives a relatively large push back on the spacecraft.
So if I'm the spacecraft, could you push me as hard as I'm going to feel from one of these thrusters?
I can try.
Okay, I'm ready. I can take it. I barely felt that.
That's right. The engine pushes on the spacecraft as hard as this single piece of paper pushes on my hand. In the zero-gravity, frictionless environment of space, though, gradually the effect of this thrust builds up. At full throttle, it would take Dawn 4 days to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour.
But now, get back to from Earth to Mars in 13 minutes. Yes, its average distance of 225 million kilometers, Mars is 12 light minutes from Earth. So let us take that as a base. When a ship would travel at light speed, it would need to accelerate instantly from 0 to 300,000 kilometers per second. I think, here we have a little problem. Let us do a crude calculation, and compare this to the fastest accelerating object we know, a rifle bullet. Before it leaves the rifle barrel, it experiences an average acceleration of 120,000 meters per second square. This equals 12,236 g. That is the most instant acceleration we currently know. A human is most comfortable with an acceleration of 1 g, which is 9.8 meters per second square. It can briefly survive an acceleration of 9 g. At the acceleration of a rifle bullet, there would not much be left of this human. Now when a spaceship wants to fly from Earth to Mars in 13 minutes, it needs to accelerate to a 300,000 km per second in a matter of seconds. In 1 second, this would mean an acceleration of 30,591,486.4 g. The ship and its occupants would not even be destroyed, it would just cease to exist in a flash of light. Moreover, that event could be so violent that Earth would also be destroyed in the process. From Earth to Mars in 13 minutes is utter rubbish. After having established that 13 minutes is totally hogwash, what would really be the fastest we can ever get to Mars? To prevent situations like this example, for a comfortable journey we would need comfortable gravity in the transport that can be given by an engine that can give a constant acceleration of 9.8 seconds square. The current ion engine is still very far from that, and perhaps nuclear fusion will be needed to make this reality. According to OmniCalculator.com, after 24 hours of this acceleration, we would reach the speed of 846,720 meters per second. That would be 526,127 miles per second. That is close to a 100 kilometers per second. This will bring us halfway to Mars, when the planet is closest to Earth. To understand this better, it needs an explanation. For that purpose, let us take a starship, and while in Earth orbit, stick a theoretical drive to it that can give the ship a constant acceleration of 9.8 meters per second square. When that runs, the passengers will feel normal Earth gravity. Halfway Mars, the ship turns around and starts to decelerate with 9.8 meters per second square. And again, its passengers experience normal Earth gravity. When Mars is at its closest to Earth, Starship can reach Mars in less than 50 hours. Given 2 hours to turn and align the ship for deceleration. Arrived in orbit, around Mars, Starship disconnects from the drive unit, and lands in the usual way. The drive unit stays in orbit for the return trip. So, we will only need this theoretical acceleration drive, which is probably decades, or even centuries in the future. If this can give a spaceship, let us say 5G acceleration, an unmanned cargo transport can reach Mars in about 14 hours. And of course, when Mars is at its largest distance from Earth, human transit would perhaps take a couple of weeks, but still in the comfort of Earth gravity in the transport. Without all these magical science fiction things like folding space, quantum drives, or wormholes, this will be the absolute fastest way to get from one planet to one other, ever. Talking about science fiction, the only TV series that comes close to reality is called The Expanse. If you like this genre, you really should watch this. This brings us to the next subject. They have wrong, artificial gravity. And look, finally Elon Musk revealed 2 artificial gravity starships. These videos are on the Space Tech and Alpha Tech channel. So Alpha Tech is also a family member? Let me tell you a secret. Musk didn't reveal anything other than, perhaps, a few theoretical brain farts. And as usual, the content of these videos are cobbled together, nicely narrated rubbish. I must say, nice photoshopped images, only the one on the top shows the type of starship I used for my animation. But in reality, this design has been aborted years ago. Such a shame. I think it was really beautiful. And it has a ring attached to the hull? What the bleep is that supposed to do? And the picture at the bottom? Your guess is as good as mine. Here's a clip from the video getting so much wrong, it hurts, even me.
Interestingly, while SpaceX is the first company to have to deal with the brutal effect of microgravity in actual rocket development,
there are no brutal effects of microgravity, no sudden slamming of doors, no objects falling, nothing like that. I am not sure what the original is about, but it is not what the narrator is telling.
Rocket development, one of the earliest examples of microgravity solutions was the concept by Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, who was considered as one of the founding fathers of rocketry and astronautics. As far back as 1903, he published a study titled Investigation of Outer Space Rocket Devices, in which he suggested using rotational force to create artificial gravity in space. Since then, many variations of this idea have been proposed for space stations and habitat, or the Gateway Foundation's proposal for a commercial space station. However, each of these methods has drawbacks that make them impractical or not able to work with the Starship being built by Musk. Some of them have very awkward shapes that will make launching difficult. Others are too heavy to be practical, while some mechanisms will use too much fuel.
All of these given proposals have one thing in common: they are totally wrong. But the tech wizards of this channel have no clue about what they are showing, like this would work. Now you might say, come on Ivy, you are just a 2D anime girl, do you know better? Well, actually I do, and I will show you. This nice gentleman is Mr. John Blinkow. He has a company that wants to build a rotating space station. It started as the Gateway Foundation, but as it turned out there already is a Gateway Foundation that helps people with alcohol and drugs problems. Mr. Blinkow changed it to Gateway Spaceport LLC. Currently it seems to be renamed again to the Off-World Industries Corporation. Some people call him a scammer. Perhaps because his postal mail address is in a UPS store in Alta Loma, California? Also, his email is some Yahoo address that does not sound very corporate. However, this segment is not about that.
What I'm about to show you is going to create a revolution in almost every type of humankind's presence in space. If you're one of the millions of people who want to visit space in the next few years, you should watch this video.
Mr. John Blinkow has come up with a design of the Von Braun Station, the first orbital space hotel. Only, Werner von Braun had his own ideas, back in 1956.
Our space satellite will have the shape of a wheel, measuring 200 feet across. Its outside rim will contain living and working quarters for a crew of 50 men. Access to the station will be through an airlock in the hub. The three large spokes are elevator shafts, and the small pipes are used as condensers for the turbo generator and the air conditioning plant. The resulting centrifugal force will produce an artificial gravity for the men in the rim. Notice that the floors are placed so that the men stand with their heads toward the hub.
Von Braun designed this over 65 years ago. Now take a look at Blinkow's idea. At first glance it looks good. It even has what looks like emergency escape shuttles connected. Like I said, it looks good, but when we take a closer look, the design turns out to be totally idiotic in several ways. First of all, the absence of an airlock. How do you enter the thing? When the space station is rotating, the centrifugal force is directed outwards. How will you dock these shuttles while flying backwards without stopping the rotation completely? Second, when disconnecting this shuttle from the station, it will slingshot away with 10 meters per second. This will be in a total unpredictable direction. In the unfortunate event when its tail hits the next shuttle, it will end up with a broken engine bell in a spin horizontal to the shuttle's plane. Good luck with that. Now see how the shuttle is connected. Well, this is encouraging. You have to get in through the engine. Even if there was a connecting tube, you would have to climb down, then strap yourself in to an upside-down shuttle. Because that is how it is positioned towards the center of the centrifugal force. This whole design is rubbish. But Blinkow had another brilliant idea.
This is Vera Station. Vera stands for Voluminous Environment, Rotating Architecture.
It comes with a nice animation, and look, it even has a docking section for space shuttles. Look how the shuttle slides in the direction towards the centrifugal gravity. At this moment, the passengers will be weightless. So what you see here is totally impossible, and my friend Thunderfoot corrected this. Without an elevator, these people would eventually accelerate and fall to their death. This shows just how little these pseudo-tech persons and channels know about physical mechanics. It is just rubbish. But this is not all. So far, the only realistically possible rotating space station offered here was that from Wernher von Braun. And I have another space station, which is from the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, written by Arthur C. Clarke, who invented geostationary orbit. Watch, and you know why. As long as we don't have constant acceleration engines, we need a different way to get some form of artificial gravity. Frankly, centrifugal, or spin gravity is the only way to go. Science fiction played into this, and came up with ideas that might work but all have one thing in common: they all show a stationary backbone with some kind of spin gravity habitat, rotating around it. A good example of this is the Alexei Leonov, from the movie 2010, This Year We Make Contact. For movie purposes, this is a magnificent design, and this was found back in many other science fiction productions. To show some examples, this is Antares, the ship from a TV series named Defying Gravity. Here we have Hermes, from the movie The Martian. Or, how about this one, the Venture Star, from the movie Avatar. All of these ships have the same type of rotating habitats. It looks nice from a cinematic point of view, however, to rotate the rim around a stationary hub would be a total technical nightmare. The major headache would be how to keep this rotating seal from leaking atmosphere. And how about friction? This will eventually slow down the rotation of the whole structure until all rotates as one. To keep the hub stationary has no practical use at all. There is no horizon, or up and down in space. It will only take tons of energy to maintain. Why not build a habitat ring, or rings around the booster section and rotate it all? No. Not like this. To the person who photoshopped this, what were you thinking? The only thing they could do in that ring is crawl around. That's what these pseudo-tech channels have in their clickbait thumbnails. It's pure rubbish. To create a good working gravity environment, make it at least 200 meters wide. That would be the logical thing to do, and the people of the NASA Space Agency know this all too well.
Some concepts are even being considered for development, such as NASA's Nautilus X space station, which would use a rotating torus to provide artificial gravity.
Claiming this monstrosity as being an idea by NASA shows only dishonesty and no technical insight at all. It is just plain dumb. Now something positive. In all this pseudo-tech, I have actually found one idea that might actually work. So, that turned into some kind of rant. Yeah, never mind. Let's go back to the terrifying bit. It is all clickbait, and of course there is not anything even remotely scaring about the content. Everything seems to be finally happening. That is also kind of weird. Look, Elon Musk is always standing beside this bald guy with a face mask while bringing this supposedly earth-shocking news. I don't need to mention that Elon Musk, nor Baldy with the face mask, have anything to do with all this pseudo tech on these channels. Seeing the way it is cobbled together from bits and pieces from other channels, it has no scientific value at all, and is entertaining at best. But I am only a silly anime girl. You don't have to believe me on my word when it comes to the content on these channels. So I brought in an outside expert. Welcome, MC Toon. What do you think?
Ivy, what can I say? It's all rubbish.
You see, I am not the only one. Thanks for watching my rant about badly designed spaceships, pretending to be a pseudo rocket scientist. At least I am honest about it.